Good morning, or whatever it is, wherever you are. We've got some server research to do, although I do see we've also got to do a quick switch of versions here. So I don't think there's going to be any big deal here. Okay, so this is where we're at. That needs... This is designed, so like, okay, website version of this could have a Twitch login, but the extension version, you can't really have any people having to log into a web frame. So we're going to have some kind of backend, and it's going to be there anyway, so we could still use it for this thing. All right, let me get signing out of the way here, because I know one way we could do this is just redirect to the Twitch API. Supplying the appropriate credentials. All right, so that would be... API gateway. We've already got a CORS proxy. We've got a couple CORS proxies. We do have a small lambda. We might want to do something like that. So this isn't doing anything fancy, and this is PMI, which is a little bit different than, or rather, it doesn't have to worry about adding fields. Man, this is like the... Yes. Yeah, like all the new user stuff, which is the first time I've used. Authorization. Communicate with the integration. Well, okay, so that's a better high-level description. Before should be and how it's transferred back. And use API to build a JSON event that backend processes a request, intercepts the response, and response codes or HTTP status codes. Find figure method in the API gateway. Public interface of your API. Your status codes method support. Yeah, so I guess I'm less sure of that, but this is a pretty straightforward, just we need to add CORS headers. Well, they seem to have turned this into more of a front-end app. Does you think they've maybe redone this interface? Maybe. Receive a request body. Okay, so those were the things we cared about. I guess you can't have API keys, but we're making it with the public web page. So. Mapping templates, transform requests. Mapping template possible. That's not used here. This is our request accrue string. Okay, these are the things to pass through from the original request. Probably nothing here. Creation response. Guess we only pass through 200s. And then on 200, we add that header. Response by a. The value have to get specified here? Header mappings. Oh, interesting. We add it here, but then we have to pass it through from the other one. Okay. Now, in our code, which requests do we make? Helix.send. We fetch user by name, we fetch user by ID. Not all of these are necessarily needed for the Twitch extension. Fetch videos. We have 3 requests. And it might be that any one of these would be able to just give us an answer. On startup, yeah, so if we have a user ID, we fetch the user by ID and we fetch the videos for that ID. If we just have a name, which I think you can actually do a name in here on startup, but it would also be used for this. Yeah, so set username. So that's only used if we have the ID on startup. And then, okay, if we get the user for the name, we fetch the videos. Do I have a login for this one? Oh, that's for the, yeah. So that's the client ID for the extension. And we don't actually fetch the username in that. Maybe unauthorized doesn't even give it to us. I mean, I guess we could look it up. Fetch videos. I guess we assume it's on that channel, so the name's already all over the place. Yeah, auth nothing. So that's a problem. Okay. So for the extension right now, we only fetch video. For the regular website, well, I was gonna say we need directions of lookups. I guess there's still some utility in being able to link to a certain user profile. But I think the only reason I need to do the fetch user by ID is so I can display their name. Yeah, kinda. Kinda. So if I just didn't have that, we would only need the videos, and then we wouldn't need to... My thinking was that rather than just doing a straight pass-through to Twitch API, we could sort of like bundle it all up into one thing, and then it wouldn't just be a pass-through to Twitch API. Now, I guess for my purposes, it will only be a pass-through for certain things. So it will be a little bit like this. Except at one of these steps, we're going to have to add an API key, which that part will have to be done off stream. So there's resources. Okay, so that's production test. Or a Lambda function. Yeah, I don't think that's going to work for us. Okay, so this allows us to add stuff to particular responses. Okay, these are probably defaults. Is AWS stuff. This is more for published APIs. Over this time period, sure. That could all be me. API keys. Yeah, that this assumes some other kind of backend where you can keep it. Yeah, so I think for the extension case, which will be most of them, we only need the video call. How much processing do I do on that? Because the other thing is you could potentially do digested results. Okay, so we can take it down to that. Yeah, we only need 2 fields from it. Now it'd be a bit of a pain if we then needed to get more stuff from it. Where is the event coming? Okay, so that's scheduled graph because we're only using it to graph it. Well, I also need to filter it. So we could do significant reduction of the amount of data. I wonder if you can do that kind of model processing here. That might require a Lambda style. Now, we don't require an access key just yet. Which is nice for just straight up console test. We'll probably have to reference back to that a little. HTTPI. Oh. That's curious. Can you provide the complete chat server, or are you just like passing through WebSockets? API management capability. So what's the difference between HTTP API and REST API? This adds AWS services as a possible backend? Backend services. Uh, right. So I think we have to support options. Oh, integration type mock. which is not one of the options here. So for this wizard, I think we have to do get. Okay. HTTP. Must be fully qualified with path and parts. So I'm actually going to need several of these for some of the, if I do users. Now you see that needs a URL. I don't, yeah, that's a mock. We're going to have to add that later. I mean, we can add this later too. I don't know if I'm going to do a general. Yeah, for these straight up pass-through things. Oh. Oh, that was get to my API goes to blah, 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 goes to there. Is this where we can specify? Nope. Can't do mocks yet. Okay, at the console, have a default stage, a default. No changes you make to your API are auto deployed to that stage. Okay, so this must be the auto deploy flag. I probably should set up like a development production. Well, I can probably copy stages at some point. Once we actually start using it for the extension. Okay, this is like an entirely different interface. So I guess that there's like a version 2. Can I actually do the things that I did before? Actually, do I need cores for this? Well, it is going to be different. Well, yeah, I don't need this yet. Integration. Okay. This might be like simple mode or something. Because this is like way different than what I had before. uh, okay, so I mean that's nice for the. Huh. Okay. Stage variable. Um. Maybe it's in here? No, that actually executes it. Just not going to work without a client ID, I presume. So where do I add variables and things? Maybe that was still the wizard? Wait, really? Oh, what the heck? Um, how do I get into advanced mode? I mean, this would have been great for some of the other stuff I'm doing, but like, I mean, I guess there's a cores setting here. So this would have been great for my cores only thing. I don't know if I want to rebuild it right now. So they added all the stuff to this. API gateway. API gateway. What are the views called? I need to be able to. Advanced mode? No, I'm not actually sure what I need to. I guess it would have to be. This would be my side. This would be our integration request. API integration type. Right? Maybe it's a REST API? Oh. Okay, so HTTP is basic mode. Gotcha. And I don't think I can undo that. I didn't see any option to convert it. Yep, HTTP versus REST. So, in fact, HTTP would be a useful thing for certain applications, but not this one. It would have been better for the things that just add cores, for instance. Okay, you don't get any kind of wizard here. All right. Did we set paths or do we actually have to set up folders? Yes, this has no stages right now. I forget. We have like methods. Edit method. Okay, so a method is underneath. Right, this is REST. So we do a resource first. I think proxy resource means it's a total pass through. Yeah, path variable. I don't necessarily need to do everything. API gateway cores. Well, I'm going to have to allow it from at least my own stuff. I forget if this actually works. I don't think this was here when I first set up some of this stuff. Okay, so first we have to set up the Helix source. I guess we have to then we set up something underneath it. Okay, now we add a resource. And probably I would remove that one. So is the thing I can configure here? There is no configuration here. Oh, maybe it's action. Delete resource, edit resource documentation. Delete method. Okay, create method. Get for me. So this is in theory the mock. This is going to be HTTP itself. I think this is just a dumb proxy, whereas I need to do some manipulation. Okay. The method request. Query string parameters. We're going to have to capture all these on the way through. Now I might be able to. Actually, I might not. I might be able to skip this stuff to me. Although maybe that would be more of a direct. But we want to see how much mapping we can do too. So we definitely need to have user ID. And I might be able to. Okay, this is for me to provide documentation. Request validator assign is not configured to validate. Well, I don't know what the request validator is yet. So these are headers that we will capture, I believe. Request validator. Uh-huh. Okay, so this is the stuff we receive. This is where it can get a little bit hairy. Content handling, yes. Path parameters. No, this is path variables. So user ID. So I could do first. Oops, path parts. From the client can be mapped with the API. Path query string header. Wrap a single quote static value, single quotes. Also, I'm going to need to look up what... I think that means that this value is cacheable. Which means I might be able to cache based on this. Cache your endpoints responses. Okay. Specified time to live. Maximum TTL is 36. Well, I shouldn't be messing with caching yet. We're still debugging stuff. Okay, so headers. Well, let's see if we can define the rest of this. I'm going to have to come back and do that at some point. This is... really shouldn't matter. That's the integration request. Integration response. We got a default of 200. I don't know that I care about anything here. Oh, mapping templates. So this is where... Okay, so this is for the type of thing. So there's only going to be application JSON. This is where I'm wondering if we can do any... response. Okay, so this is the response to 200. I mean, anything else? If I just pass through? Well, maybe we wait on that. Just get the rest of it to work. Response 200. Response headers, response body, models empty. Does that look right? Models empty. That would definitely have data. Maybe this means it doesn't place requirements on it. So this will not work. Find path parameters, my path param. Stage variables. Unauthorized. Okay. Must provide a client ID. That's exactly what we expected. And then it gets a little bit more interesting. Now the client IDs are kind of not public, or well, they're kind of public in the sense that they have to go into HTML for the clients. This will eventually be a back-end thing, though. So for tests, This is technically an application that's servicing my extension, not the extension, right? Yeah, I'm not really seeing anything there. Uh, okay, so that's what I call it right now, and that's that URL. Hmm. So it's that application. That's the front end application. Uh, guess that's autosave. Okay, local testing, extension testing. Oh. Oh, I have to do the not a robot, probably. Applications. So this would be a new application. OAuth redirect URLs. I don't think I need that. Not a browser extension. Website integration or application integration? Broadcaster suite? I think the front end is probably broadcaster suite. Okay, I have to have a OAuth redirect. What did I do for extension testing? Local testing. All right. Obtain a token. Um, that's not the same thing. So right now, integration request, an HTTP header. And this is actually handled here. This is client ID. Maybe this could be a stage variable? You have to create a stage. Um, why can't we press this? All right, we want prod. I must be missing something here? Using the console. Oh, wait, I'm thinking that kind of. Use stages, create. Use the date and time of the existing API deployment you want to associate with this stage. So I have to deploy it first. Before I can do a stage variable, apparently. So I guess we have to do literal for now. And then we can actually do it. Integration request. HTTP headers. Client ID. Literal string. Okay, so that should be our major missing piece here. And define a configuration, deployment stage. Oh, wait. Set its value as the URL string of an HTTP integration for a method. Reference the URL string. Oh, so maybe those are things that kind of flow through? Yes, a GET request as an backend web host is configured in a stage variable. So, configured in the stage variable for the beta stage. Okay. That kind of sounds like what I want. Must first configure a specified name. How do you... So this is all console stuff. I'm assuming a stage variable has to be in a stage, but stages have to be mapped to deployments? So I'm not quite sure how that works. Oh. No, this is this one which already has a stage, so it means we can look at stuff. Yeah, so if there's a stage, there's stage variables. These are deployments. We haven't done a deployment yet. We're still trying to test it as is. Oh, maybe if you define stage variables, once you do a deployment, you can define stages, you can define stage variables, and then you can substitute them here. Okay. This is not yet subject to the authentication requirement. So what you can get here is a client secret. Or on the developer page. Token exchange and there's something else. That's like which API application access token? Oh, okay. Client ID and client secret. Set of claims about the user. App access tokens. Client credentials. Yeah, so this kind of says that we can't use API Gateway for this. Oh, you know what? Actually, I forgot to check for that. Okay, no, that's you. Right, this application doesn't need login. It was the other applications that should really switch over to ID. If indeed api.twitch.tv/kraken. Yeah, okay, so you should switch over. Hosting clips, we had to update. Okay, so you've been updated. You have not. Now, I think the only thing that changes here is the URL. And we should probably just fix these. And I'll have to publish them sometime. All right, so that's stream credits. And which API? Too many windows. Postable? Yes. Uh, does not use a server. Okay, uses a server. Client credentials. Only for server-to-server API requests. Needs a client secret. Fires in. Authorization uses a server, can securely store a client secret, and can make server-to-server requests. Yeah. Oh, this is a user access token. So this is like log in with Twitch and we store the token. Yes. Huh. Oh, maybe the reason this hasn't been a problem before is because I got a token that did not have an expiration. App access tokens and ID tokens can. Well, it's an app access token, so An access token. ID token authorize. Security token service to request temporary credentials for AWS identity. Control access to a REST API. That's AWS resources. Okay, so Cognito is itself an AWS service. Identity provider. One hour, geez. Okay, so this was the new HTTP API thing. Custom authorizer. Oh, maybe we're supposed to use a Lambda token to juggle all that, a Lambda function to juggle all that stuff. Log in with Amazon. I really don't want to watch a video. Method request, authorization none. No data on this so far. Ways you configure, yep, indeed. Catch-all routing. There's no integration with their services. Okay, so this would be an easier option for Lambda, I guess. What's transformation? This is all configuration file based. Yes, that's the back end behind. Error token authorization strategies. Yeah, with the authorization token. Yeah, this is entirely different. What was the name of these integrations? Integration request and integration response. Magneto. Client access to your API. That's the total proxy. I mean, I guess if it calls the authenticator first, but I'd have to be able to like change the stage variable. Proxy to Lambda functions. So I guess if the API behind it is OAuth. To third-party developers. Client-side SSL certificate. Well, this might not work. Also not sure how you would make a Lambda work, because it has to be able to store the access tokens. Do I get an ID token, an access token? Google access token. It's a Google thing. I mean, unless Cognito can like manage authentication with something else. Yeah, this seems more like a user account thing. AWS credential. Yeah. Seems like a very, very different problem. This is for AWS access management. Without authentication token. Well, maybe they're talking about a thing that needs an authentication token. How to get API key. Okay, so that's an API key for your Amazon endpoint. Uh, that sounds like the other end again. SAML OAuth configuration back in SAP system. Providers. Endpoint access. Business logic. Authorizer configured as the access token issuer. Well, maybe if we say use Twitch as the access token issuer. Business logic, you configure and manage the data integration of the AWS console. Okay, so the authorization server is outside of AWS. which might, well, the resources are also in here, so that's a little bit different. Is made to the API, which includes a JWT formatted access token for validation. Running with API gateway that the request can continue. So this is a different case. Generate OAuth tokens from a back-end SAP system. Yeah, I don't know if this has a high-level description of what it's doing. Mm, L shortener. OAuth 2 JWT authorizer. JWT bearer token. Yeah. I don't even know where to ask about this. I guess do a Stack Overflow at some point. Because everything here is talking about the other side. Maybe there's an AWS Stack Overflow. All right, so I can't do that. I guess if we called a Lambda The Lambda could make any requests necessary. It would have to have some place to store the token. So what we really need right now is we need to know what this can and can't. Like, do we have any place to store like one piece of temporary data? Isn't it suggesting DynamoDB for a lot of these things? Where could I store a tiny little piece of configuration information? I mean, the design of these is it's functional in out, but we need to be able to feed some stuff back. Ah. So the normal way these work is it starts up and waits on an event. So I think it might be possible to have it start up, get a token. I don't know. I don't know if you can act by yourself. But maybe each container could have its own access token rather than the app having an access. Where did I put? Oh, okay. So I had to do a vagrant box to test this, apparently. And I guess it's a compiled output. I guess this was some sort of earlier, either something I copied? Something I was playing around with? There's lambda handler. I have to remember what the main lambda.start lambda handler. Okay, so there's a init and there's main. I wonder if those are Go things, or if those are lambda things. And then we have a handler that comes along. Now, I don't know if we're going to have network access startup, but init certainly has file access. And I might also want to be updated on exactly what do. London init supports Java, Go, PowerShell, Node, C#, Python, Ruby. Well, that's new. Runtime API. I don't know if it really makes sense to use Elm because I'd have to port out for HTTP requests anyway. I'm assuming that the base HTTP package only works on the browser. There's an entire thing, which probably also, this is very old. So probably. Coordinate functions, find workflows. AWS services doesn't help me. This is going to be a much larger app. Hello World Python. Actually seems a little bit behind what they said elsewhere. S3 could be interesting in the sense that we could like make a response and cache that. Could maybe also just use like CloudFront or something for that. Process events. Request your function as seen in a given time. Instance of it to process the event. Okay, so that's like an actual like VM. Programming model. Something I always wanted to try. Would not be up to making that myself. So there's a couple of them. That handle. And succeed. Only working early on a project. Yeah, this is a big piece of infrastructure I wasn't explicitly expecting last time I tried looking at Erlang. How to package your software with Erlang instance. Want to build a Docker machine and utilize Erlang Docker. Less than 256. Okay, so that does not sound like an economical option. So this might want to be for higher bandwidth. Erlang and Docker. A test setup. No information on the requirements. 2016. Yeah, I might want a more familiar environment before I try doing something weird like this. And execute containers out of Docker images in AWS land. Lambda layer. Sounds like it might be a little bit more industrial than I'm looking for. And that's the same intro. Container out of a Docker image. Each invocation of the Lambda will result in the execution of such a container. Not natively run on AWS Lambda. Okay, isolation provided by the boundary of the Lambda function itself. Lambda limit, compressed, uncompressed, under 500 megabytes, maximum execution time. Listen to packages in the user-defined script is not possible. Well, that might be a problem. And this is all a Python-based thing, so we could just Python for what we're doing. Initialization code. Right, wasn't it called anywhere? No, not directly. This is probably going to be like Event Machine or something. So that would extend to doing more stuff with Elm later if you wanted to. We've already done a little bit with Go. Runtime. What's a function named lambda handle? We have samples. They're supported. Latest supported. So I don't think I've done this before. What do we got for you guys? This is a completely different I guess functions. Is applications? Combination of lambda functions, event source, and other tasks. Void manages one resource. repertoire. Where file processing. Okay, that's a Lambda case. Why is it need an application? Doesn't really explain what's different. Serverless API, file processing. Well, okay, so it can do scheduled jobs. That's something that I might want to look into at some point. Uses DynamoDB to manage state. API Gateway, DynamoDB Lambda, CloudWatch Events Lambda, so that's just scheduled job. Lambda S3. Process data immediately after an upload. Well, it's going to be an upload to S3. But this might be an alternate way to do like our map processing. I think for our one thing, we don't actually need DynamoDB. Unless I want to use that to like cache responses or something. Oh, that's right. I was looking up, or trying to look up, functions and layers. Missions. The role. Oh, service role, test role. Okay. Def Lambda handler. Status code body. It probably could run top level code. Or you could just sort of lazy set up the token in the handler, I guess. Assuming you could have a global variable or something. In that case, I wouldn't even necessarily need a code repository. Now, this is just required JSON. I'd probably have to use bare HTTP. There's not like a, well, next topic. Example function. Also define your method as a class. That would give you a stronger, like, init point. Lambda functions handler self.process. Okay. Source dot so it'd be like, this would be source dot handler. Oh, function dot handler. Okay. Oh, function dot rb, source dot rb. So it's file name dot symbol. Invocation event and contact. And is a Ruby object that contains payload. Function in the environment. Deployment packages is zip. No dependencies. Zip up the function. Additional dependencies. And include them in your deployment package. Bundle install vendor. That's just handler, event context. Returning a string. That might not be for a web request. Non-async handlers. Wait, you would call in async handlers, I would think. Wait, in async you use return? You use a promise. What? Oh, these kind of async function. Fancy pants async functions. Function execution continues till the event loop is empty or the function times out. All event loop tasks are finished. HTTP GET works for that, so it should be fine. Oh, you just go straight to deployment package. Lambda package. Well, I guess if I did Node, I would have the option to use some of my existing, like extract, like JSON decoders and stuff. If I did want to do any existing thing. In this case, it's pretty trivial work. Name my event. My event struct name. Name.name. So that doesn't have the init. Is that a Go thing? What is the init function? Finally means finally. All variable declarations evaluate their initializers, and those are only after the has been initialized. Must execute before the main packages and main function is called. Guaranteed to run before init called. Answer to life. Fun. What is the func answer to life? What is the equals answer to life? There's a init. What is the equals 0? It's guaranteed to run before the init. Init is guaranteed to run before main. Init function, it will be executed. Huh. Go lambda programming model in Go. So for right now, we're doing a very, very simple thing. If we wanted to do more and to possibly reuse code, we could set it up with Node, just so that if we wanted to import some Elm stuff at some point, we could. Maybe you could use this variable in gateway to pass it into Lambda. Secret to external API. Key management service to encrypt my secrets into a file. File is part of the Lambda. Encrypted secret. Key management service.decrypt. Where did the params come from? Okay, so that's the param to decrypt. So KMS just automatically has that. Make it execute before you even have the secret. Giving the Lambda function a role or bucket, and update the Lambda function whenever the key changes. AWS will automatically know which key to use to decrypt this. Call environment variable. Okay. One of the we're playing with lambdas, right? Handler, so that's the function, environment variables. I think I found that. resources. The following policy statements. Lambda invoke function. Okay, so we might want to see about something like that. Yep, I don't use it. Nobody uses it. This is only 3 hours. So nobody uses it. Okay, so API. I guess this is a trigger to destination. So what is AWS layer? Code and content in the form of layers. Libraries, a custom runtime. Ah, okay. So if you've got a bunch of things that kind of like if you did a bunch of Erlang apps, you could have like the Erlang runtime. Or do like your Ruby library. Now I do have to make an HTTP request, and I think the native node HTTP is kind of rough. Now, what's the recommended? Okay, so it is node 12. This is 13. HTTP. HTTP.get. This must be URL as part of the options. This is just options. Oh, well, it's just okay, it's 2 forms. Yeah, so this is the kind of crummy. But I guess they've got a straightforward enough example of it. We'll probably even have a little fun. Make the authenticate. Actually, we're going to have quite the get a call. We have to go get an access token, make the other request. Get unauthorized, we have to go refresh the token and then come back and try. A proactive refresh. Well, I guess always going to have to do it during the span of a hand active. Also, here's a test. Crypt in transit. Or simply let default, okay. Console's encryption helpers. We're going to have to get it working first. Nope, that was there. So these are crypt in transit. What does transit mean? Does that mean when sending it to the, so it comes through encrypted, then it gets decrypted on site? Presumably. But in this interface, they are shown. Maybe if you do encrypt in transit, it's not shown. Oh, actually, here's what we want. Yeah. Okay, so this is a Ruby snippet. And we would have to go into key management service. To create a key. And if we're just working on this, it's just, I mean, hopefully if it's encrypted in transit, it doesn't do it, but we have to go set up all that stuff. So that might be a little bit more of an offline thing. So that's a Lambda handler. So what did I do with this? Was there like a pack? There's an install. Development. Didn't leave myself any notes about testing. Right, so that calls the Lambda function. I guess we just used different versions of main detect. So instead of lambda start, handler does pick names and forms a response. Just do pick names and print names, print response. So that would let you get a little bit more of a streamlined initial dev setup. You could use foreman for local environment variable by. Or there's other things. All right. You warming up a little bit today? Maybe I'm just still overdressed. Yeah, a bit warmer, not super warm. I think what we've gotten out of this is, as Needs playing with Go would be, this is something I might want to extend with Elm at some point, if this application ever got fancier. So starting this in Node would make sense from that perspective. So working plan is AWS Lambda in Node. Key in environment variables. And if I'm doing that, I can actually have it return exactly what I guess the disadvantage of that is that then I'm dealing with two different return types. And the other thing you have to consider is, do I want this public web version to still support direct twit? And if I'm supporting this, do I need to fetch the user info? Actually, it'd be great to get it all at once. But the extension right now does not actually use the user. Leaves me wondering. User for name, user for name, user for name, user for ID. Videos, current URL, navigate, which is the kind of thing you only technically need. Perhaps ignore it in extension scenario. Window size, unauthorized. Context, don't need set username. So We have a separate. Yeah, we've got panel and config page, which are already kind of separate. I would just have to maybe leave that out. Oh, so I was compiling it to one JavaScript, so I'd have to be careful how we did that. Did multiple pages. I think config is like technically Elm in case I want to add some stuff there later. Hmm. All right, so we're done with you for now. That is all the application stuff. That was a test. That was a test. API gateway. This is impossible. All right, and then I would like to get onto Stepmania. So that's it for coding for now. Oh, okay. Well, we recently redid this, and it was fine before. So if we go over to there, we go back to that. No, transition, switch. So this is where we have to start debugging these things. Here is okay, so that logged in fine. Huh. I wonder if I need to do something with my initial state. Oh, actually, I think I may have to do. So if we go back to there, go back to properties. Well, and if we look at that, okay, so this one hasn't been moved yet, so it's still good. Uh, and I'm gonna have to think about the OBS case of this too. But if we've got a back end, then it should just work. Anywho, I'm going to be back for some Stepmania a little bit. There.